absolutely wild as Vern Gagne's All-Star Wrestling goes coast to coast and continent to continent. The greatest wrestlers in the world.
He may be an apprentice carpenter, but I guarantee you he is a seasoned ring veteran.
I've been hit with bar stools, bar rags, barmaids.
I'm talking to you.
They're scared that Hulkamania's still running wild. Oh, yeah. I got a big fat wife and 9 kids at home, and I gotta feed them.
And take a look at Jesse the Body in real life.
Open your hand once if you would.
You want the stick?
This is absolutely unbelievable. Totally, completely out of control.
He's coming in over the top. Hey! Look out!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into AWA Unleashed. We are the preeminent #1 podcast dedicated to the promotion that we think is the best in the history of the wrestling business. A lot of great promotions in the history of the business, right? But we think that the AWA, well, that is, I believe that is what the kids call the cat's meow. Isn't that what the kids are talking about today, Mick Karch?
Meow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That kitty cat's got claws, don't it, Mick?
Yeah. Actually, I hurt myself there, but I haven't done a cat impression in quite a while. So
yeah. Well, I mean, if there's somebody that knows all about cat calls, it's Mr. Mick of the House Karch. First of
I've received my share of cat calls over the years. Yes, I have.
I bet you have. Ow!
Well, shouldn't go that far.
Yeah.
But we got a fun few minutes here. We're with one of our best people in the business.
Yes, we do, and we're not going to go through the normal shtick of the shilling and the promotion, which I'm sure you guys are going to be absolutely thrilled, because let's be honest, every time that we do, I hit my mark because I'm just that good, because I tell you, people are like, I don't want to hear your shilling. Oh, and I see our guest rolling their eyes. I see that. See, you ain't on the screen, but I see you. I'm smart. I'm more than just a pretty face. Mick, he's
I'm just a pretty face,
which is really impressive.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna have some fun today, guys, because we love talking about old school wrestling, and that's the whole point of this, is to talk about and to keep the memories alive. And we've had a really good time over the last few years that we've done this. I mean, we've been doing this for like 3-4 years. I mean, we've been doing this a long time, which I absolutely love. We're still going strong. One of the things that we get to do is we get the opportunity to go to certain events. And maybe the highlight of the year, maybe the most fun that I have all year, is maybe the most unassuming place that you would think. And people are always asking us, are you going to Waterloo? Are we going to see you in Waterloo? And the answer is always unequivocally, if we can make it work. Last year was the first time that I hadn't made it in 3 years, and I was super bummed, but I had family obligations. So I'm planning on being there this year because there's so much fun when it comes to Waterloo. And today I'm absolutely excited because one of my favorite people in the world is joining us right here today. And it's not you, Mick. I'm sorry. You're kind of one of my favorites, but you got to get knocked down a little bit.
Keep that shovel handy, pal. You're burying me every other sentence, so you go right ahead.
God dang it. I wanted to bury you every sentence, so I'm obviously not doing my job.
You're not doing your job.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Good deal. Nope. You said one of our favorite people.
Tag.
You said one of our favorite people in the world, and I would absolutely agree with that. I thought, maybe with technology being what it was, we could pull out the old Van Morrison Gloria song, Gloria, and just, have that playing in the background. But unfortunately, with our budget, we're kind of limited.
But sing it?
No, God, no.
Gloria. Okay, sorry.
One of our real good friends in this business, and I'm telling you, talk about a person who has worn so many different hats in the wrestling game, and a longtime fan and a great friend, Gloria Lovell, all the way from Denver. Hey, kiddo, how are you?
I'm doing great. Boy, that's a lot to live up to. I'm not sure I can do that.
Oh, you can. You know,
It wouldn't be wrestling if we didn't overhype it in some way, shape, or form.
Well, there is that. Yes, there is.
And you know, if you're using us as a measuring stick, you've got it made. You strong over us.
It's a very low bar.
Yeah. Just as soon as you got on the screen,
I don't have to reach up too high to catch.
No, not at all. Just jump off the curb and you're there. Chris alluded to the fact that Waterloo is such a great time every year. We're going to talk about that extensively, but people who don't know who Gloria is, what piqued the initial interest in getting involved in this nutso business, and what have you been doing in the business and around the business?
Well, back in the early 60s, my grandfather knew Vern Gagne. And so that's how I was introduced to the business, going to the matches. The wrestling used to come here to Denver every other Friday and to sell out crowds all the time. And that was my introduction to wrestling. And then over the years, it just grew, and I knew everybody. I knew Greg Gagne and Kurt Hennig, and, we're all same age and grew up together. So that's where it all started. And then just meeting certain people, and many years later, Jack Lanza and Jerry Briscoe got me into an interview with the WWE. So I worked at the it was WWF at the time, but I worked there for a while. And it just kind of grew from there. And then the Cauliflower Alley, Nick Bockwinkel and Red Bastien got me involved in the Cauliflower Alley. And I'd known them since I was 12 or 13 years old. And so they brought me into the Cauliflower Alley, and I was on the board of that for quite some time. And when I left there, Jerry Briscoe called right away and said, come join us. And it's been such an honor to be involved in this organization, because it's fun. And like you said, Waterloo is not an easy place to get to, but we do our best to make it an enjoyable weekend for everybody that comes, because it's what we want to do. We want to keep wrestling alive, as you mentioned earlier, and so having guys like you come and having Jerry Briscoe involved, and now JBL on our board, and this year Medusa joined our board. So we're doing our best.
It's, and I can't emphasize enough to people, and we've talked about this before. Maybe we can get your take and your impressions on this. There's a lot of wrestling events. There's a lot of fan conventions. There's a lot of whatever, up to and including CAC. Mm-hmm. Waterloo to us is just, there's something about it. There is something, I don't know if it's the old school atmosphere, if it's the accessibility of everybody, as opposed to going to a fan fest where you herd it in, like cattle. It's just a great event. And to me, when I think of CAC and I think of Waterloo, it really is night and day in terms of your access to the guys and the comfort level and the informal atmosphere of it. And I would say,
Mick, I would say I could sum it up in 2 words, and that's fan friendly.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's what we look for. We want folks to have access to the guys, but yet we want to keep it on a smaller level. And so we try to put events together that give those folks access without putting a lot of stress and strain on the guys. So yeah, that's what we're shooting for.
Yeah, and especially in today's day and age, like you hear about these events that took place in Las Vegas, and the fan interaction, and the lack of security with certain things that happen. And what I like about Waterloo is, and I know we'll get into a couple more things, because this just gets me excited, right? Because the first time that I was there is, I shit you not, I think we were getting out of the car. Mick and I were getting out of the car. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mick, but the minute we got out, we hadn't even reached the lobby of the hotel. and somebody had already been calling you. They're like, "Hey, Mick Karch," and then we walk in and we just hung out and sat next to Barbara Goodish and J.J. Dillon, and you know, doing all of that. But I think there's a respect with the talent and also with the fans. Like there's a respect with the fans that come to Waterloo, and I think that's what I really enjoy. Is it's not people out there that are looking for autographs and looking for pictures that they're going to flip and turn around. Like, these are people that really want those relationships and the memories. And I love that everybody is just so courteous of everybody's time and not, you know, not jumping on everybody at every little minute.
Yeah. And we hope that's what happens. You know, we want people to have the access, and we do give folks the opportunity for that, you know, the autograph sessions, but that's not our focus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah. So I appreciate that you said that, because that's what we're shooting for.
Gloria, I think part of it too is just the reverence of the venue. You know, when you're not at a major hotel in Las Vegas, it doesn't have that fan fest feel. You walk in there and you see the history of the business. You see the Lou Theszes and the Danny Hodges, and I mean, and then you look at that wall, you know, with all the plaques and the legends, and it's just like, yeah, this is pro wrestling history. So when you walk through there, it's not glitz and glamour. It really is a Hall of Fame feel to it.
It's the nuts and bolts.
Nuts and bolts. And then you add to that the camaraderie that is so clear among the guys. You know, you mentioned JBL and Jerry Briscoe. Are there two guys that give each other more shit, but love each other more than Jerry Briscoe and JBL? And, you know, it's heartwarming to see some of these guys who may be going to Waterloo for the first time, or they haven't seen somebody in 20, 30 years. And now that you walk in and you watch the two approach from opposite sides of the room and pick up right where they left off. To me, it's a magical experience all the way around.
Yeah. And you know, it is for me every year as well, you know, growing up around the business and being more of a wrestling purist, if you will.
Yeah.
That's what makes this so enjoyable for me. And it's really heartwarming to see a lot of what goes on at this event.
You know, and before we continue about this, you know, the old mind is kind of wandering here, but you mentioned those Denver shows,
Oh boy.
You know, the every other Friday shows. Was Gene Reed promoting those shows in Denver?
Gene Reed was promoting those shows. Yeah. And so, you know, I got to know Gene pretty well over the years, and again, we just had a great time. You know, it was fun for everyone, and the building that they used to wrestle in was right downtown, the Auditorium Arena, and it held, I think, close to 10,000 people, and always sold out. And so it was just great. And growing up around that, you know, and then having the opportunity to actually be a part of, you know, working in the business was just pretty amazing for me.
You know,
it was always pretty amazing. My mom and dad is like, "How did you do this?"
You know, that's so wonderful. And, you know, when I hear it, you know, I kind of liken it to my story in the business, starting out as a fan, and then boom, all of a sudden, there you are, hobnobbing with people. They become they're not your heroes necessarily. Now they become lifelong friends.
Yeah. And you know what was amazing? And life changes and things change, and we can't do things the same way anymore. But back then, when they were coming to Denver every week, there were no barricades around the ring, and kids would rush up to the ring with their autograph books. I was one of them, stand there, and the wrestlers were signing autographs as they stood there through the introductions in the ring. And it was just, I mean, for a kid, that's just the greatest thing ever, you know? Yeah, so it's sad that we can't have that anymore. And you know, the glitz and glamour, it's okay to an extent, but like I said, I'm more of a purist, and I enjoyed things the way they were in the old days.
No,
yeah, it almost seems like today's business is more of the business, right? And it's less about the fan experience. And I felt like there used to be a respect between the fans and the wrestlers, and I don't know if that respect is. I don't want to say it's gone nowadays, but it just seems like everything is very structured and it's very
Fans are too
everything
involved.
is very linear at this point. And to me, wrestling is best when it's kind of gritty and it's kind of dirty and it's everybody's all just kind of connected because it brings a different energy when there aren't those barriers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And like the fans are too involved, and to an extent that might be good, but the separation that we had back then was, these are the wrestlers and I'm way down here. These guys are gods.
Mm-hmm.
And I really miss a lot of that. I miss that.
The history of Waterloo and prior to that, Newton, this situation, this organization, this event has dodged some bullets over the years, up to including, I believe it was last year with, some flooding situations and rain, and we got to move the venue. And Waterloo Hall of Fame survives it all somehow.
Yeah. And you know what? Things happen for a reason, and that worked out to be a really good thing for us.
Yes.
We love being in the museum, but we've started growing to the point where having to move to the convention center that night for the opening reception turned out to be a really good thing for us, and we're going to do it again.
I'm hearkening back to the words of my friend, the late Sir Oliver Humperdinck, who, for those of you who have not been to Waterloo, this might be the selling point. We're coming into Waterloo, I don't know how many years ago, Bockwinkel and Humperdinck and whoever else was in the car. And Humperdinck looks around and he's kind of getting the lay of the land. And he says, you got the wrestling venue, you got the museum, you got a pizza place, and you got a hospital all within range. He says, I'm set. I'm ready to go. So I think that says it all. There's just a charm about Waterloo.
Don't forget about Flirts.
Well,
you can't forget about Flirts. It's right next door.
Never been. I don't know.
Never been. Yeah, I've still got the free admission from like 3 years ago. I'm
sure you do. Sure you do.
You've still got the free admission. You got a stack of passes to the. Yeah. All right. Anyway, Gloria,
paper the house, baby. Paper the house.
Paper the house. Let's talk about this year's event specifically, because so much is involved in just a couple of days. So many different events. Adding the softball game this year, which is just great. Tell us about the softball game. I know Medusa and JBL kind of have their own little rivalry going.
Yeah. Our conference calls are pretty interesting, let me tell you. And our text chains are kind of off the charts. Yeah. We decided it would be interesting with having both of them on the board now, we wanted to find something that would bring that to light. And there's a stadium that's a minor league park, not too far from the hotel and the convention center. And we just thought it would be great to put something together. And that just kind of, the JBL versus Medusa kind of happened quite by accident. And it's working out to be a pretty good thing. So
I think it's great. And for those who don't know, a couple of years back, I think Medusa was at an event and she had all her books, her Medusa autobiography stacked up at the table. And every time JBL walked past the table, he gave it the old swipe and knocked all the books onto the floor. Medusa could have killed him. But nonetheless.
And she could have literally. She could have taken him.
Are you kidding? If I'm a betting man. But I'm thinking back to my experiences over the years, and some of the guys, this is what's sad about getting to our age and thinking back to the old days. So many of the guys aren't here anymore, that were just here a couple of years ago. And that's why I would encourage everybody, if you have not been to this, you got to go at least once. Mm-hmm. You have to experience this. This is old school wrestling meets new school to an extent. Mm-hmm. But heavy on the history of the business.
Well, and we have a couple of our listeners or followers are going to be coming up from Florida for the first time, and they're planning on coming up to take part in it. So I'm really excited. I'm excited for those that haven't been there and to see their reaction the first time that they go through all of this, because I want it. I know it's going to deliver for us, but I'm excited for other people that haven't been through it to see what it is that they've been missing.
Yeah. It's and you know that it is that combination of old school versus new school, because the wrestling show that we have is more of the new school.
Yeah.
And you know, boy, there's some great names. You know, James Jeffries, who's just the best, is part of that new school, and he's a huge help for us, and he gets it. He gets what we're trying to do. So it's great having James Jeffries around, and that's what the old school versus new school is, just the best part of the whole weekend.
Thank you for bringing up James Jeffries and giving him the shout out, because that kid is just what a gem of a human being all the way around.
He absolutely is. We're fortunate to have him as a friend and as part of our organization.
Talk about some of the other events that are going on besides the nuclear softball game going on. As I said, a lot going on in a couple of days.
Yeah, and we're actually going to have an AWA roundtable. That surprise look on your face is just so we're going to have Greg Gagne and Medusa, and of course, we're looking for somebody to kind of MC it. I don't know if we have anyone that can do that, but
I know Roger Kent is no longer with us.
Yeah, Larry Nelson.
Nobody comes to mind with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So we're still looking. So anybody out there that has any suggestions, they can let us know. But we're going to have that. We're also going to have the Welsh Fuller family doing a seminar, and Tony Richards will be doing a seminar as well, talking about the wrestling wars of Texas in the 50s and Georgia in the 70s. And so that's going to be an interesting thing. And for our second year, we're also going to have Beers with the Boys, which was a pretty big hit last year. That'll be following the wrestling show on Saturday, and JBL kind of puts that together for us. And it's a sit down and just listen to stories, have some drinks and listen to the stories from the guys, which was a lot of fun last year.
I got a question. I've still been looking for this, and I did a GPS actually to try to help me find the exact location. Isn't there some kind of a silent auction that you do?
Oh, I haven't. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Okay, now you got to tell them why you're saying that.
Well,
this must even be a gimmick that I'm not aware of.
Well, I'm not the brightest guy in the room, and occasionally I get lost, without a map, without a GPS system.
Map quest.
And
print out the directions.
Right behind the area where our dear friend Gloria was sitting and schmoozing with fans, etc., there was apparently, I guess, a silent auction being held in a massive room, that you couldn't miss. If you were, Ray Charles, you could see this. But for some reason or other, I just could not find this room. What do you think, Gloria? 15, 20 times that I was up there
at
walking.
least.
Yeah. And so I had to rely on Gloria, her expertise. I could tell that every time I came, well, this is not unusual for me, but every time I came within proximity, Gloria started to, tear up a little bit, not out of, emotion, but pure sadness that here he comes again.
Yeah.
And I eventually found the silent auction, which, by the way, is great. All the memorabilia that you have a chance to bid on.
It's probably because it was quiet. You couldn't hear it.
Oh.
Kind of like now.
But Mick is like, "Where's the silent auction?" And I'm like, "It's right there."
Yeah, she did that, and I think Gloria pulled several muscles in her back, turning around every time I came up there and said, "Where is the silent auction?" And as it turned out, it was kind of a bad thing for me because George Shire, outbid me on the Larry Hennig Waterloo plaque. So all the time that I was trying to find the silent auction was for naught anyway. But I appreciate you and your patience.
Alcohol.
Me or you?
Me. That's how I have so much patience.
Okay. Yeah. You had that picture of something going on there. Talk about some of the honorees, because for the modern day wrestling fan who might not remember the old school guys, there are some names they're going to boot. Hey, are you kidding? He's going to be there. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the Welsh Fuller family,
yes,
is being honored and with the Thesz Award, and this is going to be huge. I mean, when I was growing up in the business, I was not familiar with that part of the business. Being in Denver, where it was mostly, it was all AWA at that time. But over the years, learning about them has been just really fascinating in that whole history. So we have the Welsh Fuller family. We have Jeff Jarrett, who is being honored now. A lot of people know Jeff Jarrett, and he's a character.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Garvin. So Jimmy Garvin spent some time in the AWA. He's going to be part of the AWA roundtable, and everybody knows him from, Georgia and Texas, and so Jimmy's been great to work with through this process as well. So, and Dolph Ziggler. So we're bringing a little bit of the newer into it. Dolph Ziggler, who is also going to be part of a comedy show that we're having on Friday night. So,
love it.
That is true.
Yeah,
and he's got that amateur background. So I mean, I think having him there is a great, because he's that combination where I can see the old school and I can see the new school. Like he's a perfect combination of that. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And then going back to the whole Welsh Fuller family thing, we've got Tony Richards being honored with the Jim Melby Award.
Yeah.
And, Tony's a great historian and he brings a lot to the business. And back on the AWA, we've got Ken Resnick.
Yes.
So, folks who were familiar with the AWA in the latter years know who Ken Resnick is. So Ken will be there. I tried to convince him to play in the softball game, but he said he's got some back issues. And I think he just doesn't want to play. I don't know. I think...
Well, here's the good thing, though. Ken might not be able to play, but I know a guy right here that apparently is putting on the old bike jockstrap, and he's going to go out there and Tubbsy, you're going to take a few swings, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Way to put it on.
Whoa, there's some convincing.
No, I'm really looking forward to it. This is going to be such a fantastic weekend, and absolutely, I'm trying to downplay my excitement for the softball game. Right? I used to play a lot of ball when I was younger, so to be able to add that into what was a great weekend is going to be even better now because I get to try and not pull a muscle.
Yeah. And hopefully we can really grow this and make it an annual event and get some more people involved in it and build it up a little bit every year, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
We've got a little vengeance on our mind, too, because a couple of years in a row now, we have been really, with all due respect to Scott Hosey, hosed on the trivia contest. For some reason, it seems to be top heavy with questions that are not AWA related. And because of that, we have, come up, I think, at the caboose end of the 15 or so teams that have been joining in on that event. So if you have any poll, and I know you do, perhaps you could, stuff the ballot box a little bit, or something along those lines. Give us a shot.
I need some help too. Last year was a struggle for me.
Again, really you probably still 3 sheets to the wind from directing me to the silent auction.
No, there is that. Yeah,
Yeah.
there is that.
Yeah.
That whole wrestling trivia thing on Thursday night is a lot of fun too.
Oh.
And I'm not sure how that originated, but it's turned into quite the competition when that entire bar is full of people cutthroat trying to win that first place prize.
You know, I think the most cutthroat of them all may be our friend Chris Owens of Andre the Giant fame. This guy will do anything up to and including, I don't know what he does, but I've never seen a guy so hell-bent on winning a packet of memorabilia in my life that he would literally forsake friends, family, co-workers just to get that edge in that trivia contest.
Yeah, it's people are paying people off, you know. It's just, I don't know. Is
that what it takes?
Yeah.
well,
that's everybody walking out with a hot dog and a handshake. I mean, that's it.
That's it. Yeah, that's turned into quite the event as well.
Oh,
so
it is so much fun.
So that's it. And that brings a lot of people together, because sitting there in that little competition room are a lot of the fans and a lot of the wrestlers, and they're teaming up together. And so it's amazing what we've been able to pull off over the years and what we want to continue to grow.
You know, you had mentioned Kurt Hennig a little bit earlier on. Lenise Hennig, Kurt's widow, and her son Hank have been recent attendees to Waterloo, and they love it. They absolutely love it. And Hank, you know, by nature is a pretty bashful guy. But I'm telling you, he got in the room with the JBLs of the world, and who is this guy?
Yeah.
I mean, just
I didn't see bashful at all.
How do people, if you haven't been, you can still get tickets, obviously. Yep. How do they do that?
Just go to the Dan Gable website and look for the Tragos Thesz link, and you can buy your tickets there. You can become a life member there. I personally don't do social media, but our social media gives you a way to sign up to get the newsletters that I put together every couple of months. And so there's lots of ways to get involved. I want to go back to the Lenise thing for just a second. I spent a few minutes with her last year, and we were talking about back to the AWA days in Denver. Tito Santana and Hulk Hogan and Kurt Hennig. I was telling Lenise this story last year. We were driving to the airport one morning, and it was a real warm day, and all the windows were down, and on the radio came Hank Williams Jr., A Country Boy Can Survive. And I've got these 3 big guys in my car all belting out A Country Boy Can Survive. And the people in the cars next to us are all looking at us like, what the heck is going on in there? She got a kick out of that story because she knows what a huge country fan Kurt was. And it was a really fun morning. And it's like 8:00 in the morning we're doing this. And so I did get to pass that along to Lenise and Hank last year, and they kind of got a kick out of that.
You know, and I know they are both so proud of Kurt. You know, whenever Kurt's name is mentioned at any of these events from the dais, especially Hank, you know, he was 10 years old when Kurt passed. So this hits home with him. Yeah.
Great stuff. That was another time where there was a great camaraderie between the wrestlers and the fans, and being in the hotel in Denver, hanging out with the guys. I think I might have told you guys the story about me and the Crusher, and the Crusher wanted to teach me how to polka, and I couldn't tell him no. And there was just a small little dance floor with music playing in the back of the bar at the hotel, and so he had me out there, dragging me all over the floor to teach me how to polka. And I was really, really suffering. It was not good. And Greg Gagne, God bless him, saw that I was in trouble, and came and whisked me away and said, "My turn to dance," and he took me right off the floor. It's like,
Oh, you know what? God
those are the
bless
kinds of
Brentford.
things we have.
That's great. You know, and in the absence of the Crusher, Polish Joe Chupik, Polish Joe of
I
Polish
know.
descent will be there. You know, he might be a little easier.
Polish show,
on you.
Polish descent. That's
He,
way to connect the dots, Mick.
yeah.
Yeah,
He may,
I'll be avoiding him. I'll be avoiding him.
So will we. So will we.
yeah, we try our best. Again, people, I encourage you. You've got to go at least once to this event because
Mhm.
you will never forget it. It says wrestling on the marquee for this one, not sports entertainment. Not floor shows and glitz and glamour, and we'll see you out on Fremont Street. This is the real deal, grassroots, organic wrestling stuff. And
Yeah.
Gloria, you're one of our favorite people in the world. I'm telling you, and that is a shoot, as they say in the business.
Thank you so much. I love you guys.
We will see you in a couple of months in Waterloo, and maybe by that time you'll be able to coherently point out where the silent auction is.
I'll do my best.
God bless you. We love you, Gloria. Thanks, dear.
Thank you.
Thank you, love. All right.
Bye.
There she is. There's Gloria Lovell. Hey, she is the absolute best. Like, she is, you talk about somebody that is just the most approachable, cool, down to earth individual. Like, if you run into her at Waterloo, I guarantee she will make you feel at ease.
Yeah.
And that's what I think this whole weekend is about, is just being comfortable with each other. And I love it. I'm telling you, I was so bummed I missed it last year. I'm really excited to go back because there are experiences, Mick, that you're going to get here that you don't get anywhere else.
No question about it. And, talking about Gloria, there's some people, and I don't mean to belabor this, but there's some people whose smile lights up a room.
Yeah.
And Gloria Lovell is one of those people. I mean, she's radiant, and she's an old school fan, and she's involved in so many different aspects of this event. And, she's a great person to know, great friend to have. We're looking forward to it. Again, that is in July in Waterloo. If you got the poster one more time, Chris.
Yes, sir. I do. I don't have the link there, but I'm pretty sure if you go to their Facebook page as well, like she said, go to the website. You can get all your tickets, your information there, and I'm telling you, you pay that one fee, and then it's like you're good. You pay for your ticket and you're in. And I'm telling you guys, this is one of those. You go to certain events and you're like, God, I don't know that I want to do that again. You go to this and you are going to be, I cannot wait for next year. And when you go to an event and you're like, I cannot wait for next year, that's when you know you're doing it right. And that's the way that I felt about this event every time that I've gone.
Yeah, I don't know how many years I've gone, Chris, to Waterloo, probably, I don't know, 10, 12 years anyway that I've been down there, and it never
disappoints.
Yeah, it's great stuff. So, yeah, we'll see you in Waterloo. This was great. Glad we could do this special.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys, we're going to be down there. So, I mean, if you guys are, you want to hang out with us, hey, that's cool. We'll all avoid Polish Joe together.
That's a good idea. And I was going to say, we'll be easy to find in the trivia bar because our table will be the one that is not surrounded by fans. So, you'll have easy access to us.
And I'll be the one on my cell phone disobeying the rules.
Yeah, there you go. Calling your wife and asking her a trivia question about the AWA. We will see you folks in Waterloo. We're going to be talking about that in the upcoming weeks as well. And you and I have another show to do here, so we'll be back and do that.